think we'll fire away now, Paul, we?
Where are we at? Yeah, we've 66 in there.
Okay. Guys, just first of all, thanks very much for making yourselves available this evening. A huge turnout. We've got a huge cohort here from Sarsfields. We've got a couple from Ballyfermot, which is Paulie's club, which I'll talk about now in a second. We also have a couple of guests, GPOs and people associated with development squads and stuff. A couple of guests, but they're going to mainly remain silent throughout and just kind of observe. This is mainly for our club coaches from Ballyfermot and from Lucan. Tonight is going to be well, first of all, tonight was put together by Paul O'Brien. Some of you might have known him. Himself and Paul ran a course in the first lockdown that many of you might have been on about reflection. I've known Paul a good few years now. He's an excellent coach, years of experience. And the one thing he was lacking as a coach was any sort of IT experience. But I'm convinced he must have done a degree in IT in the first lockdown because he's unbelievable now. So much so that we have some breakout rooms, which is something that blows my mind, but that's where we are tonight now, and that's all down to Paulie. He's put a huge amount of work into this, and he's very passionate about this, and hopefully we're all going to take something from it tonight. We also have Niall Cooper from the Dublin County Board, who's in facilitating one of the breakout rooms for us as well. Again, a man with a huge amount of experience in terms of coach education and facilitation. So we're really, really lucky to have the two of them here helping us out today. So it will be interactive. We will be looking, especially when we go to the breakout room, for a good bit of interaction from everybody. So hopefully it goes well. I think I speak for the three of us when I say we're probably three technophobes. So go easy on us in the breakout rooms where we try and figure things out. But hopefully it goes well. We've put in enough practice. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Paulie.
Cheers, Dave. Okay, guys. Thanks for logging on. I suppose like most of these things, we'll start off with keeping the house rules. In the event of a fire, just run like the clappers out the door. Don't worry about your laptop. That'll look after itself, and make sure you get a picture for Facebook so you can get loads of likes. First of all, thank you all for logging on tonight, particularly for people that are working from home. Probably sitting in a sitting room today, looking at a screen all day, and then having to kick yourself to get out and do it tonight. It can't be easy, and appreciate what's involved in that. And hopefully, by the end of this, you'll have got something else and say, yeah, well, that was worthwhile. In terms of what we're looking for at this tonight is a change of approach and attitude towards our planning our coaching sessions. Not necessarily just to go and do a training session, to plan a training session. It's to plan a training session that's meeting the needs of our teams or individuals that's involved in our teams. Not just planning it. Our way of going about that involves trying to create a bit of a cycle where preparation, execution, reflection, and each time we do that, we get better as we go because better coaches make better players. The little tool we created here to do that was a little booklet, and obviously you guys are not going to have that in hand, and that's why the PowerPoint will be there will be a lot of stuff on the screen tonight as a visual, because normally when you do this workshop you would have it in your hand. So that's what we're looking to get out of this by the end of it. Can we do a session plan? Can anyone send out a session plan? Yes, but is it relevant to the needs of the team and the team or the individuals? Okay, so just gotta pop this on. Okay, there's the front page of the booklet there, right? And this is what we're calling this session planning for long-term success. That's just a brief inside of the book there. The pages of the books there, which we're going to tackle them in a few minutes, and I'm going to hand you over to Dave now for the next slide. But before I do that, I'm looking for everyone to unmute their mic, not mute, unmute it. We're going to do a little bit of an icebreaker. Hopefully, people get involved. Throw your answers into as you see them coming up, and we have a few prizes. Niall is taking notes there of names that got the questions. We have a few prizes there for anyone that gets them right. Okay. Hey, what you say? Fire away and don't be shy, guys.
Road to nowhere.
Middle of nowhere. We got it there. Yeah.
You got that?
I did.
Wishbone.
Good man.
Very quick.
Golden Eagle.
Golden Eagle, yeah.
Very good. Trying to get this one.
Worm your way out.
Milvan Mountains.
Mountain View.
No, we had it there. What's in the picture?
Mountains.
Yes. What's he saving?
Even the bacon.
Brett.
Saving your breath. Nice.
Private eye.
Good, very good. Aim it.
Holding all the aces.
Not in my house though. Right, last one. That was in the middle.
Game face.
Game face. Yeah.
Yes, excellent. Getting our game face on. That's exactly what we're doing here now tonight. And Niall, if Niall didn't get any of the names, if you got any of them right, just text Dave your lotto numbers. You have a free entry into the Lucan Lotto this week, and Dave will see you.
On our system.
Okay, Dave, over to you.
So, for those of you who are unaware, player pathways pretty much exist across all sports and all organizations. And what they do is they help to put a bit of context into the different stages of development for players. So the GAA have one, Dublin GAA have one, for the people involved in Athletics Ireland have one, the FAI probably have one, I'm not totally sure, but I assume they do. And these are the same all the way around the world. They're based on good research, and how they're applied though sometimes differs depending on the amount of time and effort that the organisation put in. Everyone's 4 different stages you can see here. So we have the fundamentals, which is one of the younger ages, and the point of what these give is a point of reference for the type of activity or the type of training. So at that age, they're just trying to learn how to have fun. They're learning the very fundamental stuff, and everything's done through a fun way and a very inclusive way. When they move to kind of 10 to 12, they move into a phase called learn to train. So by this stage, they're playing matches every week, but that's not their focus. Their focus isn't the matches. Their focus isn't winning those matches. The main focus is learning how to train. So training becomes a bit more structured. There's a bit more emphasis on training. And then as they move to the next stage, then into the kind of CCC2 age group, the 13 to 15, that's when they kind of train to compete. So you'll notice there's a change in training. Training becomes more intense, it becomes more focused, and it becomes more, it tries to replicate the game at the weekend a little bit more. That's the train to compete phase. Once they get a little bit older, it becomes training to win, especially as you move into adulthood and minor and beyond. The focus is winning. Whatever level you're playing at, the focus is winning, and you go training to win the game. As opposed to learning to train at 10 to 12, your emphasis there is not to win the game at the weekend. Your emphasis there is to teach the kids about structure of training. Then they move on to training to be able to compete, and then training to win, instead of just starting off at 7 years of age hoping to win every weekend. So if you look at, we've broken this down into nursery, 7 to 9, 10 to 12, 13 to 15, and 16 to 18. It's divided into 4 categories. First one is movement and athletic development. Then there's fun games, skills, and SSG. So SSG stands for small-sided games. So anyone, especially from Lucan, who's been on a course with me before, is probably sick of, they probably hear that word leave me mouth and they roll the eyes and think, here we go again, because I'm always banging on about it. But the SSG stands for small-sided games. If anyone has a look at the percentages there for any of the categories, does anybody notice anything? take the percentages for nursery.
There isn't 100%.
Yeah, okay, that's an important point, and we'll touch on that now as we go on, okay? What's important to note, though, is the percentages, they're not set in stone. That'll vary depending on the club, that'll vary depending on the team, but it just gives you a rough idea. Take the nursery, for example. So we have 20% for the movement and athletic development, 30% for the games, 5% for the skills, and 5% for the small-sided games. But realistically, in a nursery, everything is fun. Your warm-up, your athletic development is going to be done in a fun way. That's going to be fun. Your skills are going to be done in a fun way, and any sort of small games that you play with them, they're all going to be fun. So that's just to provide a bit of a frame of reference, but they're not set in stone, and we'll talk about that a bit more as we go on. So this is just some examples of how we can populate those percentages, okay? So if you take, I'm not going to go through all this, okay, but I'll touch on some of them. So the athletic development and the movement, if you have to hit 15% in a session, you might look and you might throw hopping in, you might throw throwing, you might have a game of chasing, which is 5%, and that adds up to your 15%. So the previous slide is giving you your kind of target, and then you look through your different categories and you pick different exercises or activities then to try and hit those percentages. So you can see in the fun games are just chasing type of stuff. The skills are your basic skills. But one thing to notice is that they're not completely exclusive. So if you take a fun game, take any of those fun games that I mentioned there, there's movement and athletic development in them. So by doing a duck goose game, and that gives you your 10% of fun, you're also doing a bit of your athletic development and a bit of movement. Okay, so not completely exclusive. The two bottom pieces there, transition time and the reflection, we'll touch on then as we go on.
Yeah, the transition time, I heard someone saying there about the tally up for 100%. This is where we're getting another 20% for it, and self-reflection is another 20% as well. The reason why we have these so high is because this is how highly we value them as in terms of our preparation. What you do in the middle will kind of look after itself if you're prepared properly and you switch on and then reflect on it to improve. It will look after itself. Transition time, you look at it there. We all have jobs. We're all human beings, and it'll take its toll on us in different ways. We families, and there's all sorts of things that go on in our life. You can see two examples of there. They're trying to switch on to be a coach before we actually start the training session. Two examples there. With transition times to break away from the activities of the day, listen to my favourite music with a coffee, and after that I'm ready to go. The bottom one there, with transition time after a hard day's work with coffee, I arrive at the training field, I switch off my phone, I focus on the job in hand. That one in particular, it should ring a bell with most people in terms of think about it. We've all arrived at training, we've all seen that man standing around with the phone in his hand, holding the big stick with the cones on them and all that. Something which maybe probably should try to get away from. Okay, certain jobs, certain circumstances at home mightn't allow us to do that as easily, but I've in particular had started to do that. Would I have saw that as an issue before? Probably not. I've seen it as an issue now because every time I go to my phone after I do a training session, and the amount of text messages from parents or whatever else related and missed calls, I would have probably tried to deal with them in that period before a training session. I don't do it now, and it means my head is in a clearer space when I'm setting out and prepared, and then I go at it then, and I deal with all after, because unless it's an emergency, I think someone will get hold of me somewhere or another, you know. So, and I think it's an excellent tool to value, and that's why I have such a high percentage, because it'll definitely, if you do this and you do your reflection, 40%, the rest will look after itself.
The last 20% then is made up of our reflection time, and again, we've weighted that fairly heavily because really, it's a really important part of our coaching experience. I heard a great analogy there on another thing I was on there last week. So if you're not doing reflection, if you're not a reflective practitioner, if you're not a reflective coach, and let's say you've got 5 years experience coaching a team, have you really got 5 years experience, or have you just lived the same year 5 years in a row? So unless we're reflecting, we're not growing, we're not changing, we're not adapting, and we're not progressing, okay? Our self-reflection, again, these percentages, they're not set in stone. We put down, did you prepare? 8%. Was your energy good? 4%. Did you get good feedback? 2%. Did you listen? 2%. And did you keep your cool? 4%. That might change. You might always have good energy. You might be a GPO, for example, and don't have many busy days, and you get to a training pitch in the evening time, and your energy is always good to go, you know. but maybe you're not a great listener. Maybe kids come to you during their session or players come to you during their session and you're kind of dismissive. You're trying to pay attention to everything else. You're not really dealing with that one child. So maybe you might want to weight it more towards what you need a bit of work on. So if you find you're not a good listener, maybe weight that a bit more. If you find that you arrive the session straight from work and your energy not good, maybe you need to weight that a bit more to give you the incentive then to try and go after it. But the important part is we have to be reflecting on what we're doing. Otherwise, we're not going to grow. We're not going to improve as coaches.
Yeah. And in the booklet itself there, you have a little there's none that 12, 13 session there. You have a sensor there. Glance back at it. Did you hit your targets? Get down to your self-reflection. This is all for yourself. Again, we said this when we done the self-reflection one. That self-reflection is not a tool to beat yourself with. It's a tool to help you along the way. It's not for anyone else. It's only for yourself. You don't have to be doing this and handing it over, sharing it. Anyone. It's for yourself, you know. And as again, you can change them to suit yourself, your own needs. Our session plan, that's what a session plan would look like. Your activities, brief description, time, and equipment. So what we are going to do now, right? I'm going to stop sharing this. We're going to go into breakout rooms, okay? We'll have myself, Niall in there. We're going to facilitate 3 different age groups. We're going to put a session plan together. We'll have crossover of coaches in there. So if you're an under 14 coach and you're in with Niall under 8, you've been there before, so it'll make sense to you. If you're under 8 coach in with me and you're in under 14 group, you're going to get there at some point. So it has relevance to everybody in terms of how we learn and how we might change our focus going forward. The breakout rooms, we probably go over 10 minutes in it. 10 to 12 minutes, whatever really is needed. I'm going to assign people automatically. Many rooms, I'll just divide it up here, okay.
There'll also be a mix between codes. So I think 2 of the breakout rooms are football-based codes, and my breakout room then is going to be hurling and camogie. So again, don't worry too much if you end up if you're a camogie coach and you end up in a football room, or a football coach and you end up in a hurling room. Don't worry too much about it. It's not about the specific exercise. It's more about the building of the session plan itself.
And again, remember what we're looking to do. We're not just put a session. We're putting a session that meets the needs of our team or the individuals on, and we don't necessarily have to pigeonhole it to when in real life to an age bracket. Ability as well will play a part, but that'll come with experience, I suppose. Okay, I'm going to open the rooms there. It'll sort itself out. This invitation should be there, guys, to accept it there and jump in. Okay, guys, I'm sure we've a crossover of ages of all sorts of things. We're going to do a session for the under 14 lads team. Let's let someone in here. Under 14 lads team in a structured way and a structured fashion that's suited to the age group. I'm looking for people now. You can unmute your mic and we can plan it out there together. There, we'll add bits in. So if we're starting off, we need at that age. I'll probably call it a warm up more so than a few fun games and what have you. So, anyone there want to throw stuff out there and we see can we pull together a plan?
Is anybody good one?
Do you want details or just
use a plan in the session? I'm going to just put it down here. So we're planning the session. So what's our way of going on it? What's our first activity we'll be doing in our session?
Start with your warm-ups.
Warm-ups. Okay, so we'll okay, let's what are we going to do with our warm-up?
Bit of running. Just a small bit of a jog, get them warmed up.
Okay. Now let's think about this now. Like we're trying to incorporate everything there. It's on our other side there. So you just say I'm running, yeah?
All right.
Will you run? What are you going to do when we're running?
you use it as a
Just try their running techniques or running movements, things they're going to be doing during games rather than just running for the sake of it.
Yeah. Okay, running. Okay, that's it. Okay, we're doing a running tech. Okay, yeah. Anything else?
Do some maybe run relays. Could you do relays?
Yeah, of course you can, yeah. Anything else?
Also multi-directional kind of running.
Also multi-directional. So I'll leave that running because when we go back out into the main room, we'll be going through this here and I'll stick it out. So how long are we going to spend on our warm-up?
5 minutes. 10 minutes.
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Okay, we'll come to.
How long is the session?
Yeah, how long is the
plan it here
session?
so we can decide this between us? What would the normal session be now? Would you do in a club?
An hour roughly.
Sorry, Craig?
Yeah.
Roughly an hour. So what are we doing on our? How long are we dedicating to our warm up?
If you're only going to be running 5 minutes is enough. But if you're doing other things in it, then
What else can we gonna do in it?
Dynamic stretching.
you do your
Running, stretching.
strength and conditioning.
Okay. Hold on, I'm back to that. Lesson C, right? That's not nearly. You're probably covering your lesson C and your bit of stretching, right? So when we go in there, okay. How long are we going to spend on it?
That's about 15 minutes.
15 minutes, right? Okay. What coach is going to take that when we're talking about it?
Somebody who knows what they're doing.
Well, come on, guys. We're on here. We're gonna go back out. Someone's gonna explain what we're doing.
Oh,
O'Neill, will I stick you down for the warm up? Yeah. For part of it, yeah. When anyone else?
Yeah, William.
Can't hear whoever that is there. That's breaking up. Anyone
William.
else there for the warm up?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Call out a name there.
William.
Okay. Right, after our warm up, what are we going into next? What activity?
Drills.
Say again?
Well, usually there's stations at that stage, so depend on what different one.
Okay, what stations are we reducing here in our session?
You do shooting.
Shooting, right? So
Skills again.
okay, we're going
Shooting.
skills. We're going skills, right? Okay, what skills are we doing?
Yeah.
We're going shooting on our skills, are we?
Kicking, shooting.
Passing.
Okay, shooting, and I'll go throw kicking because that'll cover passing. Kicking.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go. Like if I was doing this at home, I'd give a description so I could handle another coach. We don't need to do that because you guys are going to take what we go. What else? What are we doing? What time are we going on this?
Again, you look about 15 minutes because that's a half an hour gone there now, isn't it?
15 minutes, right? Now we
Or
are.
do you want it that long? I don't know.
15 minutes. Are we running with 15?
Yeah.
Well, that'll be
Usually
30 gone then.
Yeah.
It's a lot of shooting.
Yeah, it's a lot of.
10 minutes, we better one.
We're shooting and we're kicking. Yeah, so we're going 15 minutes. Okay.
Is that time going to include debrief or a discussion with the kids?
You can decide that yourself. You can decide that's what we can.
Yeah. I mean, when you're introducing a skill, it's something that not everybody will get. And usually what you'll have in a session is you'll set out what they're going to do, and then you'll make observations. So you might want to turn around to the children and go, look, we need to work on this, or, even demonstrations of what you observed. Because, if you're looking for continuous improvement, you need to pick up on the weaknesses, you might say, that they currently have in that skill set.
Does anyone know what we call that from a coaching point of view?
Feedback.
It's your introduction and your demonstration, and then your review as it goes on. I can't remember the mnemonic for it, but
Yeah, spot and fix. Spot and fix, yeah. That's our spot and fix. You would do that, and obviously you explained the drill at the start it goes, and your spot and fix will go on Jordan, and if you need to bring them all in again, obviously you would do that. Well, who's going to give us a couple of names on what are we doing in this part of the session, the skill session?
Yeah, I'll take Fran.
Fran, yeah. Tim Moroney, I'm sticking you in there, yeah?
Lovely.
Keep everyone involved, yeah. Okay, we're moving on there. What else are we going to do in our session?
the SSG now.
Yep.
Yeah.
You fancy that, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going with small side of the game. So what conditions what kind of games are we going to play? Small side of games.
You vary them. Condition games and stuff. Conditioned games and.
Yeah, look, give us a couple of conditions.
You can only kick with the weak foot.
How many passes they have to do?
No hop, no solo.
No talking, hand signals only.
Non-dominant, non-dom side. Yeah, we go non-dominant. So the idle out short hand for me. Okay, we've hand passed. We've a non-dominant part of it. What else?
No hop, no solo.
No solo.
Okay, so we've 3 there, right?
Probably enough.
Yeah, look at that percentage there, you know. You don't want to overload. Lads want to play. When I do small sided games, I have a bit of a rule. I always start with full rules, throw me conditions in and finish with it because the lads always want to play just full rules. You know, you play a whole session if not it's doing that, man. You know, you make it. They need to be enjoying it as well as pretty. All right, what are you throwing time wise on this one?
Longer, 20 minutes maybe.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, 20. Yeah. Well, who wants to take this one when we go out onto the screen, onto the yokes there? We have 3 yokes there. Give us 3 names. They want to throw that tuppence sport in when we're explaining what we're doing in our hand pass game only.
Yeah, you can stick me down for the hand pass one. Hugh.
Anyone else?
Yeah, you can put me down, Kira.
Yeah. And no hop, no solo. Anyone?
Yeah, you can put me down for that, Philip.
Okay, next one.
Finish off with a full game. We've only got 10 minutes left. Let them go all in, full game.
See, will you have?
I know what you're saying there previously. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, will you have 30 kids at a training session?
Yeah.
anything other than 15 aside is a small sided game, right? If you're going to play a full game, if you're trying to get your touches up in terms of how many touches you want to, more touches the better for players in a session. You're going into a full sided game would be best practice in terms of getting touches up and keeping kids involved. You know, that's what you have to look at. Like your small sided game, I personally wouldn't go full sided game training. Maybe 30 kids.
If you have someone playing in the corners in a full-sided game for 10, 15 minutes, they probably won't get a touch of the ball at all.
You know, so you're 10 minutes. It's only 10 minutes you're playing for, you know. Anything else we can do?
How many minutes we got left? 10, is it?
We've three games of 5 aside. So we've 30 players, 5 each side, half a field.
Okay, then, what if you want it? If you want, then you can change the time on this to 30 because they would fall into the small side of the game. Yeah. So just allow an extra time in small side of the game. Yeah. But that works because that's what I would probably do if I was doing 25 minutes. I'd start full game, finish full game. You know what I mean? It just changed the conditions going in between. So we go 30 minutes. Yeah, we don't have to finish bang on the button for an hour, like, you know. So that you'd like to do at the end of a session.
But if you had small numbers, you could break them up into penalty shootouts just to have a bit of fun or whatever. I don't know. Depends on how many you have.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Have them hitting with their weaker foot or their good foot. You know, depends on how many you have and how much time you have.
Yeah. Is penalty shootout? I suppose you could do free kicks there.
I was going to say free taking and losers out, winner stays on.
Yes, exactly, and that is fun. But you look, not competition is fun for people, for lads. Yeah. So we just maybe or shoot. Yeah, we can. Free kick shootout, yeah. And you'd like to do then at the end of it?
Review.
Feedback.
Okay. We'll just say all coaches are just going to do this part because we'll all be all hands on deck.
Should they be doing any sort of a warm down at 14?
suppose, yeah. Let's be realistic enough about it. You can throw it into small side.
5 minute cool down.
You can small cool down and feedback, yeah. You can tie it into the one, I suppose.
Feedback session.
Cool down and feedback. We don't need to put that what we're doing in there. We know that. How long will that take us, you think?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, yeah. We'll just say all again on that. We can all take that. We don't need to be. Okay, terms for equipment. We need any equipment for the phone for this one?
Yeah, bibs and footballs.
For the warm up?
Yeah, bibs, tag game, running, and they can have their football being chased by people.
Bibs and balls. Okay, our skills.
Yeah.
The balls again, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Balls. Small side of the game. Well, the same thing, nearly all the way down.
Yeah. You need to mark out your pitch though.
Hones as well.
We looked down the bottom. I was getting a bit lazy. I pre-done that because I knew we were going to need them. That's bibs, balls.
Cones.
Bibs, balls, cones. Free kicks now. Are we down on this free kick? Need a goal or possible goal, maybe, yeah?
Goal and cones, maybe.
Goal and we don't.
Footballs, obviously.
Right, so what's our total in our time there?
30.
Yeah, 15.
75.
25 minutes.
1 hour 50.
75 minutes.
Yeah, 75. Have you got 75 there?
Yeah.
Well, the SSG is up to 30, so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. As you're doing fun games to warm up, you could probably take that
kicking.
down to 10 minutes, I'd say.
The skills one, maybe you could drop down. Shooting and kicking.
It wouldn't be because it all depends. So again, you do that and you're out one night. You go through your reflex and what worked, what didn't work. You might take it down yourself. You know what I mean? There's no wrong answer on it. You know. Okay, well, I'm gonna just do here now. I'll just stop sharing this and I'll throw a yoke in the breakout room that one. Right, in a minute. Right, this will automatically get dumped out with this.
All right.
If we have our session there, we'll go through it out there and we'll cross check it with the yoke and see if we're hitting our targets. A lot of the time you'll find you are, like, imagine unless you're ordering and shouting from start to finish, there'll be some sort of fun in nearly all the activities we're doing, as Dave said earlier on, yeah?
Yeah.
You know, this is a football one. One of the other lads is doing hurling, and I'm not. Niall is probably doing probably a younger kid session. I don't know what it's actually.
Football.
You know?
Yeah. Perfect.
We'll probably get twelfed out now in a minute. We're going to go back to the main room, and what I'll do is I'll pull up the session again, and I'll call on the names. But so we're going to do our warm up, and someone whoever shouted out the running, just give it a brief description. We keep it because we are on the clock tonight. We don't keep saying this any longer than we need to. So a brief description. We move on. Then we'll have a quick look back on it and say, yeah, I'm happy enough for that.
We had our first IT glitch, Paulie.
What happened, Jay?
Me and Niall ended up in the same room.
Well, no. You ended up in our room, Dave, is what happened.
How did you know you ended up in my room?
You probably only copped that after 10 minutes when Niall was giving you all the information and you're typing it down.
I don't want to offend anybody, but I end up moving to a much better room, so I was happy enough.
Oh, it sounds right. Okay. Let's see what you pull up on the screen here, so.
Make sure that was the interaction like, Dave? Was it good?
Yeah, it was good. We just commented on it at the end. I wasn't sure how it was going to work, but it was good levels of interaction, and we built a nice session.
Yeah, good.
I think.
Yeah, we'll have a look now. Okay, I think we're all back in, right? I'm going to go with my session up first, doing a 14 session. Right. A lot of shorthand in it, but that's what's needed for the time being. Okay. Okay, we're starting now. We're under 14 session. We're starting off a warm up. Brian, give us a bit what we're going to do in the warm-up. Yourself and Will are looking after that.
Yeah, so we're going to have a small area, 20 by 20 meters. Lads will have footballs, but they'll also have bibs in their shorts, and they'll be chased around by chasers. So they'll be moving in different directions. And if they're caught, then they have to go out and do a technique, whatever. Then you could do hopping or going backwards, different movements in that. And then you could bring in relays as well.
Yeah, good. And add on to that, Will.
That's what I was saying. Sorry.
Yeah, that was Will. Sorry.
It was Will. Okay, here we got Brian.
Yes. Yeah, I thought maybe a bit of kind of just straight line jogging in and back for a couple of minutes, first of all, before the harder multi-directional stuff. But yeah, just along those kind of lines that Will was talking about there.
There's loads of things we can do to keep that fresh as the weeks go on.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to stay at that. On to our skill session. Fran, you're you looking after start of the skill session with Tim. What are you bringing to the table? Tim, are you
might be on mute there.
No problem. Tim here, look, I can talk for Fran. So obviously session is shooting and kicking. So split the players into a few groups, take a focus on the type of kicking we want, maybe use some cones to get players moving in certain directions, have some progression targets for the coaches to watch out for, like kicking on the move or kicking with weak feet, and then have a certain amount of spot and fix as we get familiar with the drill week on week.
Yeah, good, yeah.
And get have a little chat with the mentors before they go out with the boys or girls to have them capable of spotting and fixing and getting the boys kicking the way we want. Thanks.
Yep. Okay. We're going to be moving on to our small-sided games. We've allowed 30 minutes for this. To cover a few areas on it. You're looking after the first part of it.
We were looking at the hand pass. So we start off with a small pitch, keeping it tight and extending it as the game progresses. And say starting off with a left hand passes only, do that for about 5 minutes, and then stop it, bring it in again, tight pitch, and then extend it out again, right hand side pass only.
When we change it up then to keep it fresh, what are we bringing in?
On the hand pass or on the...
No, okay, we're moving on now.
Sorry. Yeah, no, that was then, I was saying we do the non-dominant passing, like just to help improve the kids on both sides. Again, explaining them why we're doing it at the beginning and then reviewing it at the end, and just encouraging all the kids all the time to develop both sides, so that was the change there.
Yeah, just to point out, guys, we decided on 30 minutes on this because we're going to start with a normal full rules and we'll finish with full rules. So it's the 5 minutes either end is a start and finish. It's those full rules in the game. That's why there's 30 minutes dedicated. Phil, no hop, no solo yet. Talk us through it.
Yeah, that was our last game, or the game, the third game that we're going to play, the third condition. And it's basically just to keep the kids moving and supporting as much as possible. Follow the ball as soon as it's let go and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Just as regards our small side of the game, if you go back to our skills, is there any way we can incorporate the skills we homed in on into our small side of games? And means we're getting double bang for our buck on our session.
We could have introduced a kick passes since we did a shooting and kicking exercise initially.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have a small side of the game and you have to be focusing on kicking, how do we keep homing it into a match situation straight away? And you're adding it into your small side of the game, which means you're getting double bang for your buck on the training session. Okay, we moved on then, and we all the last 10 minutes we were going to do after doing a free kick shooting as a knockout. Be a bit of fun, you miss your out and move on. And the last 5 minutes we had cool down and feedback. Our session came to 75 minutes. And our equipment we need is balls, bibs and cones. If we crossing over now to our check sheet, just to have a look. Movement, athletic development, are we hitting our targets there at 10%, do we think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw it out there where we think we're hitting it.
At the start in the warm-up.
Okay, so we're in a warm-up, we're throwing in our athletic development, yeah. Okay, fun games. Are we?
Small little games, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody should be moving in the games.
Sorry, say again?
I was just saying everybody should be moving in the games. So
So it's across the board. So nearly always the fundamental movement ones will if you have sessions planned like that, you'll be crossing over loads, you'll be smashing them with your targets on it. Our fun games, are we hitting our fun games target?
That was the free kick shootout. 10 minutes of that.
10 minutes of that. We're looking for 15%, and this is at the age we're at in particular. This is why something that drew me towards this in terms of the player pathway. We're not an age now where I think because fail is involved now, coaches can tend to lose focus on the overall development of the player in terms of winning games and winning the failure competition. Can we make anything else fun in there as we're doing it to keep our fun level up, and instead of just keeping it serious? Is there anything else from across the warm up, the skills, and we can add in there to keep it fun? Because I don't think we've hit 15% on the free kick.
I think in the small side of games, change up the ball, throw in a rugby ball or something a little bit different.
Yeah. So there's loads of it. In a warm up, is there anything we can do in a warm up to make it a bit
competition and between each other, even in the relays.
Yeah, shuttle races.
Shuttle,
Very, very important, lads. That's what we're thinking. Like when you plan an under 15 session, a 14, 15 session, we kind of forget that the lads are there to enjoy it too. And that tends to happen at around that age in particular. Any feedback from anyone outside on that? That was outside our room.
75 minutes.
Huh?
75 minutes, is that like, that's longer than what we usually get in terms of allocated time?
Paul, this is clearly facilitated by a coach who's not familiar with the Lucas.
You're just jealous.
I asked how long are we going for? So if someone says to me we run 60 minutes on the pitch, the session is 60 minutes. But come here, listen, you got summer evenings and you get 75 minutes and you want to do it, that's grand. You know,
but
loads of ways of tweaking that.
So the question is not like, because we are constrained with space in Lucan, but typically for an under 13, under 14, under 15 team, what sort of duration should you be like if you didn't have the constraints we have with space? What sort of duration should you be aiming for?
I think an hour is grand. No more than 70 minutes on that feet, I don't think is
okay.
You know, I wouldn't do, but 9 out of 10, it's normally an hour and 5 at that stage. Normally pulling my hair out what's left of it anyway at that stage. Okay.
Gyp sailed.
Okay, Niall, do you want to bring up your file there and bring your guys into action?
Yep, cool. So, just going to share our screen here. Can people see that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're realists in our group. We went with our 45-minute slot because that's what we have. I added in a little thing at the end. So we also decided that we're one team, we're one coaching group, so we didn't want anybody to take ownership of any one particular one. So we're gonna jump between the coaches as we're going here. So the first one we the lads were obviously eavesdropping on there when we had monkey tails. So who from our group suggested monkey tails?
That was me.
Okay. So I don't know if we need to rehash it. Would you? The lads were probably playing the secondary version of monkey tails. Do you want to tell them our better version of it?
Well, it's fundamentally split between two groups, catchers and free. So put set the bibs, get the non-catchers to put the bibs in, create tail, and then the two to catch on. And then if you're caught, you join the group until the last person standing, go from gate to gate. Lots of movements in it, lots of fundamental movements. You get them from the start. Session time between 8 to 10 in one station from the start.
So perfect. So we had said 8 to 10 in terms of by the time we got the kids in and they leave the game, that it's realistically about that. We might have 4 to 5 minutes of actually activity time there where the kids are actually running around, and then you're swapping catches and stuff like that. Our next one that we went with under the heading of movement and athletic development was animal movements. So who had suggested that from our crew?
Yeah, I think that was me. Yeah, so again, just getting the boys or the girls just mimicking different animal movements, whether it's bear crawls or frog jumps or bumpy truck or kangaroo movements. But again, just different types of movements and get them to use the different joints. I think the key thing is just to mix it up regularly so that they didn't get bored, and you probably get somewhere between 5 to 7 minutes out of that.
Yeah, and what we were saying was, I suppose we were jumping back and forth with Dave's point that obviously there's fundamental movements there, or functional movements in that, but the aim of the game there is that the kids are having a bit of crack and they're having a bit of fun. They don't realize that they're building shoulder strength or whatever it might be in a particular movement. They're just hopefully just seeing it as a game, as with pretty much most of the activities at this age group, because we're under 8s. After that, when we were talking about the skills, the first one we went to was punt pass. Who had suggested that, guys? Sorry, for over the river, no man's land.
Yeah, I suggested that, yeah, Brian.
Okay, thanks, Brian. And with that one, we were actually having a bit of a chat about when we're talking about building skills, when we do a game like No Man's Land or Over the River, again, that's usually fun. There's competition there. The kids are trying to stop the ball from bouncing in their square or whatever it might be. And technique then can suffer sometimes because their focus isn't necessarily on doing the skill, but it's on playing the game or winning the game. So we just had a little bit of back and forth about how much we need to be correct in technique. So maybe having an element of working on the technique in isolation before the game might be a good idea. We spoke about small-sided games there. Again, it's station-based at this age typically. So, John, do you want to take us through the small-sided game that you had suggested for the lads?
Yeah, the idea of the small-sided game, obviously the small number, so people are included. We suggested that during the game we'd put a minimum of 3 passes before someone could score. So you're making sure you're including everybody. You can't just get the stronger guys running through all the time. They have to include everybody else on the team. We're also suggesting that we might start off for the first half of the match focusing on one of the skills that would have been worked in one of the previous stations. So now getting it put it into a live game. So they're working on that, and we'd concentrate on maybe the stop and fix if they aren't getting it right. So they're trying to continue to work on it with them all the way through, and then maybe open up the game as the game moves on, open it up and to have a little bit more to do with bringing in. So moving from just having hand passes to having kicks as well allowed, or also encouraging trying to get extra points for a high catch or something like that along the way in the game. So there's a bit more fun and add a little bit of competition for the kids as well, because they like a little bit of that themselves.
And then we ran out of time. Then the last one I put in was just the second skill station there, Paul, just to try and make it almost applicable to real life in, well, whatever real life is, in terms of the Astro for the 6 months of the year, or the next time that we'll see the kids, that will realistically be working off a 45-minute session. And that was part of the reason for the timings there.
Yeah, that's why it's important to be creative. You got to be, everything has to, your preparation is key on that. You need to be set up straight away and going if you've only 45 minutes. All right, Dave, thanks for that. Now you can unshare yours, Niall, so Dave can pull up his one.
Okay.
A lot of writing in there, Dave.
Yeah. Teacher. Yeah.
Don't forget you're on mute, Dave, as well.
Yeah, I just did it again. I just started talking again. I forgot I was on mute.
Actually, no harm. Not
you're some man to throw that one around. So I'm conscious of the time. We're already gone a bit over, so I'm not going to put people on the spot from our group. I'm just going to talk through it. The first two groups went for a less is better approach. We've clearly gone for a more is better approach on this one. We did a lot of we still had a lot of conversations all around the structure of it. So we started off with bulldogs, dynamic warm-up, and monkey tails. We move into a skill-based thing then. So this is under 11 hurling and camogie session, by the way. So we go straight to first touch, players and partners striking the ball back and forward, or hand passing the ball back and forward, and lots of different variations on that. Then we move into we didn't actually discuss this part, but I'm going to imagine then that we split into 2 separate games for 7 minutes and then switch over. So the first one's a skill game, hurling golf. So it's a designated area and how many strikes it takes you to get around, while the other half of the group play rounders. Then we move on, and then they switch obviously after 7 minutes. Then we move on to the next portion, which is going to be shots on goal. So the players either sides of the goal taking shots on the run off both sides. while the others do roll, lift, musical chairs, which is a game I think Tom suggested. Basically, they're roll lifting, and every time there's a sliotar removed each time. So we're introducing a bit of competition, a bit of physical competition at that age. Again, 7 minutes, and then they switch, and then finish off with some small-sided games. So one game is a kind of standard condition game with 2 goals, 3-second possession, just to keep everybody moving. And the second one then is no man's land, with a part invasion variation that Ruth suggested, whereby when they make 3 catches, they have a bib and they go to the other side and they try and spoil possession for the other side. I don't want to dwell too much on it because we're so tight on time. So with that in mind, I'm just going to bring you to the next portion. Can
I just do a wrap up on that before I hand it over to you?
Okay?
If you can unshare for me there, please.
Yeah.
Okay, we looked at the 3 session plans there, right? They're all session plans and can all be done. If I was to do the session plan I done with doing the 14s, if I was to do that with the age group Niall had, could it be done?
No.
No. Can it be done? Can we do it? Yeah. Yes. No.
It could. It could agree, but I wouldn't enjoy it.
Exactly. Yeah, it wouldn't enjoy it, right? And that's the key about being more observant about when we're planning our sessions. And that's what this is about. How we meet the needs of our teams or our individuals or the groups we're working with. Could I have done a Niall session with mine? Yes, by all means. I'm sure there'll be loads of great crack in it, but bearing in mind they're trying to compete at that age according to the way mountain that they've brought us through. We could do it, they'd have great crack, but are we meeting the needs? The answer is no. You know, so that's why we're trying to bring ourselves back to our focus now of our preparation, planning it out, executing it, and then reflection. And then we're getting into a routine that all the resources that's out there, there's some fabulous resources out there. You go out, you will go after the resources. You create good habits, you will go after the resources. And good coaches make good players at the end of the day. I'll do last slide from me, and then Dave just wants to do a wrap up. On the back of the booklet I have, there's a graph there. If you want to monitor your journey, you're doing your tally up at the end of each session, hitting your targets or not. If I was to throw a question out there, what's our target? We got to be looking to be hitting at least every week on our training sessions, realistically. Anyone any views on it?
90%.
Sorry?
90%.
80%. Any particular reason why you say 80?
I said 90.
90. Okay. Well, we have the notion that we should be targeting 80%, and the only reason I'm saying that, I'm not saying 100, is because the only thing we're not in control of, and that is our transition time. If you're stuck in traffic on your way to training, there's no way you're in control of nothing. We've all been there and done that. So 80% is our target. If our transition time is right, we should be aiming to be getting up near this 100. You will drop something on your reflection at times, as we all will, because events of the day is that, as we said earlier on, will play a massive part. Will play a massive part. If we're looking at the graph here, we find ourselves down here. I don't consider that a problem. We find ourselves down here because, as we said, we're all human beings. We all have other jobs. The problem becomes then if we're staying down here. If we hit down here, we got to get back up there as quick as we can. If you're down this end of it, you're down that end you're down there for too long, there's obviously a problem. Whether you're in it for the wrong reasons, whether there's something that you might need a hand with, you can lean on your coaches, or there might be something that might be needed from the professional people. But the whole idea is monitoring what you're doing and staying on top of it. And if you jump into the cycle of preparation, execute, and reflect, you will get better, and that's what we're trying to do. Get people to reach out to the resources that are there, because there's a lot of good stuff out there, and we just feel that they're being underused. And hopefully this tool will give us a bit more of an incentive to go after that. All right, so I'm going to just unshare now. I'm going to send you over to Dave. He's going to do a bit of a wrap up.
I did it again, just started talking again when I was muted. So I'm really conscious of the time, so I'm going to try and keep this as quick as possible, okay? Some coaches might see this as being familiar. I've done this with a lot of coaches in Lucan Sarsfield so far. And this is where your session plan ties into a bigger picture. So what we talked about tonight is putting that session plan and how we prepare ourselves for that session and how we reflect on that session. But that's looking at the session as an individual standalone session. What we need, the next step then, is when we get those skills down, is to try and tie it into a bigger picture. All I've done here, this is under 8s and under 9s. I take the Dublin player pathway and they have a list of skills that are appropriate for that age. And in theory, those skills should be mastered by the time the kids move out of that age bracket. So again, this is under 8s and under 9s. So you're hoping that by the time you get out of under 9s, that you've exposed the kids to these skills and that they're fairly competent. Now, obviously, there's real world stuff of players joining late and stuff like that. But take your kid who's been there from the academy. Ideally, they should have a good competency in each of these skills. It's broken into football skills, hurling, camogie skills, and then your ABCs, agility, balance, coordination, and running, jump, and throw, and your kind of movement and athletic development. And how you ensure that you're kind of moving along and progressing all the time is by coming up with some sort of long-term plan. So what we do, and what I've done with a lot of teams in the club so far, is by blocking your season off into months. So you take each of those skills, you make sure that each of those skills is addressed a couple of times during the year. And I've just realised that when Paulie put this together, football skills is entirely punt, kick, and body catch for the entire year. That's not what you want to do. So have a look. I'm not taking the blame for that one. That was Paulie. If you look at the hurling and camogie ones, so ground striking, a moving ball, and front forming the secondary focus for the month of January. It changes then into February, it's ground doubling and the jab lift. And all that means is in our sessions in January, at some stage in the session, we're working on ground striking and a moving ball, and we're working on the front block. Doesn't mean the whole session has to be based on that. It just means that at some point we're addressing those two needs. And we try to address each thing twice throughout the year, and then is repeated then for the next year at under 9s. So ideally, the kid who is at most sessions is going to be exposed to all of these skills over that 2-year period, and then leaves under 9s then hopefully having a good competency in all those skills. And it's basically just, it's a glorified checklist, just to make sure that you're continuing on that long-term development and that we're not just going from session to session. And that is the last point that I wanted to make. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Paulie, do you have anything else you want to jump in with, or am I doing a full wrap up?
No, wrap up. We're happy enough for that, lads. Appreciate you taking the time tonight to jump on. I hope everyone got something out of it that they might take away with them to implement when we do eventually get back on the field.
On behalf of myself, and I think I speak for everyone in Lucan, I'd like to thank Paulie and Niall for their excellent contribution, their excellent help tonight in getting
very much
around. Tom Birch, who is my Google Docs man, is going to send around, I haven't told him this yet, but he's going to send around a feedback form we're going to put together soon just to get everybody's thoughts. Hope you got something from it, and hopefully then you join us down the line for the other couple of workshops that we have planned. Guys, it's 9:05. We've been at it now an hour. Thanks very much, and hope to see you all soon.
Sorry, guys. Is there any questions?
Just one question I had is, would it be possible to get a copy of some of the slides that you've presented there today?
Not the slides, no. Not as a slides, no. The book, if anyone needs the book, you can contact Dave and they can purchase the slides.
Okay.
If anyone wants to stay for 1 minute, what I will be giving to Dave is this, right? It'll be a Lucan Sarsfield's crest on it and all. It's a session plan. Yeah, you go in there and you put your own session plans in.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And the reflection is all on it again there as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
One last thing before we go, because I did forget about the questions. We did offer coaches the opportunity to pop in with questions before the workshop. We got one question from Colin, and hopefully we've answered the Colin. The question was fitness versus skills. What's the balance that you're looking for, and how do you develop both? So as we kind of talked about, at different stages, fitness is going to be more prevalent and less prevalent. Pretty much they can be worked side by side. And as we talked about, like your fun games, that they're going to work on fitness. Your small sort of games are going to work on fitness. So it's not a fitness versus skills type of thing. It's more how do we incorporate them all. I'm hoping that answers your question, Colin. And again, if there's any other questions, we'll pop them in now before we head off.
Wasn't me, Dave.
Different column. Okay, lads. Thanks very much for everyone's engagement tonight. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay safe and enjoy the rest of your evening. Come on, folks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, appreciate it.
Thanks very much. Yeah, take care.
Thank you.